If you use wet boxes, you will never have to spray pottery to keep it from drying out ever again. So let's make one and then I will show you how to use it. Go to the dollar store and buy a storage bin. It doesn't really matter which bin you choose, it's whatever size you want. I really like the under the bed storage bins because they're long and narrow and I can store a lot of stuff in them, but also store them on my shelves. All you're going to need for this process is plaster and water. It's a 2-to-1 ratio, so 2 parts plaster to 1 part water. I like to measure my water in the container and I just whatever line I want the plaster to be at, I put in like a tiny bit less water because the plaster will make up the difference. In this case, it was 2 buckets of water, so I measured out 4 buckets of plaster. You really only want it to be about 1 inch to 1.5 inches thick. You don't want it to be so thin that it breaks and dries out easily, but you don't want it to be so thick that like you can't really store anything in it, and then it's too heavy. So 1.5 inches is decent. And then you're just going to mix until it incorporates, rinse off. Make sure you clean up your edges while it's still wet. You don't want that stuff to dry and be flaky because you really don't want plaster in your pots. Then to use it, you just keep water poured on it. As long as that plaster is saturated, it's going to keep your pots leather hard, no matter how long they stay in there. Just check them every few weeks to make sure they're still wet. Then once it passes inspection, it's ready to be used. These pumpkins have been sitting here unattended for 6 months, and they are still a soft, workable leather hard. And honestly, they're probably going to sit here for another 4 months, but you know, they'll be ready for me when I'm ready for them.